Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, July 19th, 2024. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy joined by Jonah Booker for his usual Friday visit. Always great to see you on a Friday, sir. We're going to have a fun show for you guys. Buckeyes landed another good commit, 4-star D-tackle, Jarquez Carter. And, I know 24/7 in-house rankings has him a very high 3-star. The composite has him as a 4-star. What I look at, offer list, he picked the Buckeyes. His final four was Ohio State, Florida, Miami, and Penn State. So good get by the Buckeyes. They get their third D tackle in this class that is still number one in the country. JBook and I are going to talk a little bit about that to start the show off. Then the crux of the show, my friends, JBook and I are going to go position by position and give our confidence level 1 through 10. 10, of course, being the highest for the Buckeyes entering the 2024 season. Before we do that, I'm going to let you guys know about my friends over at Gooder Sunglasses. You guys know I love Gooder Sunglasses. You guys can get free shipping. These are such high quality sunglasses, and they're not going to, break your bank, to say the least. They start at just $25 a pair. They're all polarized. They're not going to slip. They're not going to bounce. And then if you happen to break them, which is really hard to do, by the way, I'm a pretty big guy. I can sit on them and probably not break them. But if you happen to lose them, which I definitely could do that, $25 to get a new one. You also get 30-day free returns. The new product launches the Retro G. You can check them out at gooder.com. So I'm telling you guys, get your Gooder sunglasses, and, you can get a great deal. Go to gooder.com/bucknuts and use code bucknuts for free shipping. Gooder.com/bucknuts. Use code bucknuts for free shipping. Again, 30-day money back guarantee. Take advantage of that. All right. I tell you what, I know this kid's not a super highly ranked JBook, but I love the offer list, and I tend to think he might be underrated. Jarquez Carter became a Buckeye yesterday. Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, I think I like it, Dave. I kind of like Larry Johnson's approach this cycle. It's been different as far as the defensive lineman. You don't have your high-end 5-star and a bunch of misses. Now you have, quite a bit of guys that you're able to develop, some guys that's going to be in the rotation. When you're looking at Jarquez Carter, Dave, very productive, very strong kid, 6'2", 285. I think at one of the recent camps, he won the strongest man competition, putting up 225 like 27 times or something ridiculous like that. Extremely productive on the high school level as a 3 technique in the middle. He's had 33 career sacks going into his senior season, playing in the state of Florida. Also a basketball player, so he has the feet. But I think this is someone, he's a younger kid, probably won't turn, I think he's not going to turn like 18 until right before his freshman year. So he's going to be on the younger side, someone that can probably come in after a year or two of development to help out, get into the rotation. You look at all of these guys, Larry's landed 3 defensive tackles in this class so far. All of them are around the 285 mark as far as weight going into their senior season. A lot of people's like, oh, that's small for a D tackle. Let me tell you, they are 2 weeks within getting into campus with Coach Mick that all of those guys will be 300 plus, no problem. So now you're probably, estimating you got 3 guys that are going to be projected as 300 plus pound defensive tackles. So I like where Larry Johnson, hit home with this one. They're still going to try to flip Malik Autry. That's probably going to be something that plays out later on during the season, closer to signing day. He's coming back to Columbus for the Michigan game, and he's probably the one that really takes your class to the next level. You're talking about a 6'6", 325-pound defensive tackle to pair with some of the guys that you already have. So I think Larry has hit it out the park this class. Tremendous strategy. He's kind of pivot to what we've seen late in the past with Larry. One thing that the biggest complaint with Larry Johnson, Dave, was he never casted a wide enough net. So if he missed out on his top targets, there was never a plan B, a plan C. Now, this cycle, you see Larry cast a wide net. He has the NIL funding, at the wind of his backs to allow him to be extremely aggressive. Now you got 6 outstanding guys in this class as far as defensive linemen. So I like this approach.
The way you're describing Jarquez Carter, so basically he's going to be the next Aaron Donald. That's what you're telling me?
Hey, 6'2", probably going to be 300 pounds, throwing up 27 at 225 going into your senior season. He's only going to get stronger, Dave. 3 technique. He's going to be one of those guys, he plays some, very competitive high school football in the state of Florida. You get him up here, as strong as he is in low center of gravity, he's going to be someone that's going to be hard to move off the football.
I love it. I absolutely love it. This class just keeps getting better somehow. Hopefully it'll get better, even better when they get David Sanders Jr. Real quick, before we move on to the, really the main topic of the show, which is us going position by position, giving our confidence level. I got to check in with you. Last week, you and I are both confident they're going to land David Sanders Jr. Bax only gave it like a 33% chance on Wednesday's show. He was also speaking fluent French thanks to Babbel. But anyway, I'm like more in like the 60% range that the Buckeyes are going to land him. Where are you at with David Sanders Jr.? You still confident?
I'm at 70, Dave.
I like it. I like what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm at 70% that they're going to land him. Talking this week, to some of the representative for the collectives that represents Ohio State, they're extremely confident. They think they're going to get him. There you go. The foundation, they're very confident that he's going to be a Buckeye. Now, there's been some talk, Dave, that David Sanders might take a couple more visits here before his mid-August decision. If that's the case, I still like Ohio State going into those visits. Hopefully no shenanigans, with Tennessee or something like that at the last minute, kind of flips this recruitment on its head. But as of today, July 19th, we're a month out before David Sanders makes that decision. I think the Buckeyes are in a great position. So that's why I say 70%, unless I hear something otherwise.
I'll have what he's having. Okay, I like that. I like 70%. That's much more in the range I like to hear. All right, let's get to it. All right. Confidence level 1 through 10, each position group. Let's start at quarterback. It's the most important position on the field, and I'm going to include depth in my rankings. For example, just to foreshadow, running back, for example, I'm going to include depth when I give my overall confidence level in the group. Quarterback, your confidence level.
I'm at a 6 right now, Dave. When the confidence level, I do like the depth there, but you're talking about inexperience. I would feel a lot better if Devin Brown actually has some true meaningful reps. He hasn't been reliable when it comes to his health over the last several years. He's been given opportunities, to beat out other quarterbacks. You can, get into the weeds, make an argument, say he did beat out Kyle McCord, Ryan Day decided to override coaches based off the, universal voting. So either way, he hasn't been on the field and he hasn't produced. You got Will Howard coming here. What are we going to get from Will Howard? That's the question, Dave. Now, just because those guys are at a 6, it doesn't mean they can't win a national championship. You look at, what JJ McCarthy was able to do at Michigan. I mean, they didn't even run the ball against Penn State in the second half. Right. He didn't play absolutely great against Ohio State. He didn't play great in the big games. But what he did was he was a gamer to where when they needed gotta have it plays, he was able to make those plays in critical moments to help his football team. But he wasn't a quarterback that came back there, especially with the way they were operating, to say, hey, I'm going to take over. I'm going to dominate. I'm going to Cam Newton. I'm going to Tim Tebow. I'm going to, take this game to the next level, a Trevor Lawrence type of situation to win a national championship. So I think it can be done. The blueprint's there. We don't need Will Howard to be all world. You just need him to be better than Kyle McCord.
I'm going with a 7. If it was just Will Howard, we're just talking about the starter, I might go 8 because I believe in him. I think he's going to be second team All Big Ten. I won't be surprised if he's first team. If he is second team All Big Ten in the 18-team conference, I'll give Dylan Gabriel first team right now. Phil Steele predicts it'll be Gabriel first team, Drew Aller second team, Will Howard third team. If he's second team All Big Ten, I think we're going to look back on and say, okay, that's no worse than an 8, but he's got to get there first. I'm not saying it's not a guarantee he's going to get there just because I think he's going to get there. But the depth knocks it down a little bit. I tell you what does help the depth is having Julian Sand there. I think if need be by midseason, I think he would be ready if called upon. Now, I think it's going to be Will Howard's job, but I mean, if Will Howard got hurt and Devin Brown wasn't ready or got hurt himself, I think Julian Sand could at least come in and hold the fort down. That's huge to have Julian Sand because while he did tail off at the end of spring, the spring game itself and the practice before the spring game, which was also held in Ohio Stadium. Overall, as you know, J-Book, Julian Sain had a really good spring. So I'll be a little bit more optimistic. I'm not too much off of yours. You gave it a 6. I'll give it a 7.
Yeah, I just need to see it, Dave. I just need to see the production on the field, how they're going to look. The big thing for me with Will Howard is he's going to get wide open wide receivers down the field. Will he take those shots and can he connect on them? Because you're going to start to see safeties creep up 10 yards, heels 10 yards from the line of scrimmage to try to slow down this rushing attack. So that right there is going to tell you that, all right, this quarterback is going to get a lot of one-on-one opportunities. Will he be able to step up and make those throws? That's the biggest question mark for me. If he can, Dave, then, you start talking about 7-8 confidence.
All right, we can rotate. I'll go first with running backs. I kind of foreshadowed this a little bit. Now you think 10, right? Yeah, if we're talking like the top of the lineup there with Travion and Quinshawn, I mean 11 out of 10, right? I'm going to go with 9 just because they only have 4 scholarship tailbacks, and the one walk-on they were counting on, TC Caffey's now out for the season, which sucks. Now, I do like James Peoples a lot, but you only have 4 scholarship running backs. I mean, we know depth can disappear there at that position more than any other position in football. And you can lose depth quickly at any position in football, none more so than running back. So I am very happy. 9 is pretty high. That's why I'm not giving it a 10, though. I give it a 9. What say thee, sir?
I'm right there with you with the 9. I think you laid out a great argument. The one thing that I keep thinking about, Dave, is looking at, I was just doing some digging on Chip Kelly this week and what he was doing at UCLA, and Tim Drevno, who's the quality control coach that came over. He was the O-line coach for Chip Kelly at UCLA. They were semifinalists for the Joe Moore Award for that offensive line. They led the Pac-12 in rushing. He's only getting a better offensive line, Chip Kelly, better running back personnel. That right there signals to me is they are going to run the heck out of the football. I mean, they are going to pound people with this 1-2 punch. Now, with that being said, now you start talking about wear and tear on some of these running backs. You start talking about, okay, fingers crossed that these guys stay healthy. So the lack of depth, lack of experience behind Judkins and Henderson is, I agree, that's why I'm not on a 10 there. The numbers are low, and maybe it's just me because I have PTSD when it comes to the running back injury history. We've seen it over the last several years, Dave. We have gone through it. We have gone through a year in and year out that there's been injuries, mysterious injuries, that because Ohio State's like the CIA when it comes to disclosing injuries. You'll just pop up on a Friday and somebody's questionable, and then next thing you know, it's breaking right before the game that, hey, this running back is unavailable because of what injury. Like, nobody knew he was even hurt because, the way that they operate with their injuries. So I have PTSD when it comes to running backs staying healthy. If they can stay healthy, then, you're talking about 10, obviously the best 1-2 punch in college football, but right behind them is super questionable. We have faith in these freshmen, think that they can get the job done, but you're still talking about freshmen at the end of the day.
Yeah, longer season in theory. They've been, as you said, like the 2022 season is a perfect example against Michigan and then Georgia. They're so banged up at the running back position. They're like, playing Xavier Johnson at one point as their main running back in the Georgia game. Unbelievable. All right, I can't wait for this one. I don't even know exactly what I'm going to say yet. I think I do. Okay, offensive line. Go.
Man, this is probably the trickiest one, Dave. Look, I'm actually going to go an 8, Dave.
Ooh. Everybody stand up and give Jonah, but no, you don't have to stand up.
Look, I maybe it's me. I'm bullish on this offensive line. I think this offensive line has the potential to be really good. Now, you're getting your tackles back. Say what you want about Josh Fryer. He wasn't all Big Ten tackle. You're starting to see the publications come out that Simmons on your left side, it has the potential to be a top 4 tackles off the NFL draft board. If that's the case, then you're talking about another all Big Ten left tackle there. You bring in Seth McLaughlin from Alabama, a war daddy that has over 400 snaps at the center position. He's going to be able to calm a lot of people down. You have Donovan Jackson on the left side. The reps with him and Josh Simmons playing next to each other, that's only going to make that offensive line better on that side. The biggest question mark, obviously, is going to be the right guard. Can they get it together? But with that being said, you look at what has happened now as far as the coaching transition. A lot of people are skeptical about Justin Fry's ability to get this offensive line to play at a high level. I'm going back to what we talked about earlier. Tim Drevno being there to help Justin Fry. Tim Drevno coached the UCLA offensive line to be a semifinalist for the Joe Moore, the nation's best offensive line. With Chip Kelly there, with those three guys there, because the one thing that that the offensive linemen have talked about is Chip Kelly has really taught those guys how to get to that second level. That was one of the biggest things that the offensive line struggled with last year is they didn't know how to get off blocks. They didn't know how to get to that next level to open up those running lanes for the offense, for the running backs. Now that with Chip Kelly there in his scheme, and he's telling these guys, okay, this is how it's done. This is my offense. I created this, baby. That's not how you block it. This is where you're supposed to go. This is where you need to be at. If you get this look, you need to get up to this second level. So just going back and looking at some of Chip Kelly's, coaching points when he was talking about the offensive line and how they're going to, attack it with their rushing game and the coaching clinics, I'm just extremely bullish on it on the offensive line. That's just me.
I thought I was going to be the optimistic one. I'm going 7, and I thought people were going to say I was debating between 6.5 and 7. I'm going 7. It's a sneeze, as you illustrated. It's a sneaky veteran offensive line, experienced. Yeah. There's no first-year starters on this offensive line, presuming that Hinsman is the right guard. And I like that if he's not, that means, assuming he stays healthy, that means Tegra or Luke Montgomery beat him out. We have a good competition at right guard. But you look at it, projected line, you get 3 third-year starters, with Simmons, Jackson, and McLaughlin at the collegiate level at least. And then you have a couple of second-year starters with Fryer and Hinsman. So, yeah, man, I'm with you. I'm not all the way. Listen, if it's an 8, size the rings up now. Let's go. Size them up. I
just think they're going to be that good, Dave. I mean, you look, and the first 4 games, they're going to be mauling people. So what happens when you're an offensive lineman, any type of athlete, when you're playing extremely well, that confidence starts to build. It kind of starts to snowball. It's like, hey, we're feeling good. We out here blowing people off the ball. We're running for, 250, 260 in the game. We're out of there in the fourth quarter. You start to feel good about yourself. And you go into that Iowa game 5, as long as this offensive line is playing at a high clip, in which I think they will be, then the sky's the limit for them. The talent is there, Dave. It's going to be up to Justin Fry to squeeze the juice out of him. But the good news is you don't have to just rely on Justin Fry himself. That's why I think it's a major upgrade with this coaching staff with Chip Kelly and Drevno coming over, because now Justin Fry is going to have other people there to help push that O-line. Now, with that being said, should you be paying $1 million to an offensive line coach that you're expecting 2 other people to help out? That's a whole totally different conversation to have on another day. But with the other people there, I do have faith that those 3 minds in that room will be able to get the most out of this O-line.
Yeah, we're going to learn a lot about Justin Fry over these next few months. Recruiting, David Sanders coming up in less than a month, and then the season itself. But you're right, with Chip Kelly and Drevno are going to help him a lot. You're right, though. If you're paying an offensive line coach over $1 million, shouldn't you not be worried about recruiting and his coaching acumen both?
Yeah.
Should not be. But hey, he's got time. He's still got time to prove himself. So
hey, it's Judgment Day in the month when it comes to recruiting with David Sanders Jr.
Yep. Now I would take a national championship over landing just David Sanders Jr. not winning a national championship. But hey, we'll take both. How about that? Let's be greedy. Okay, I'm going to be short and sweet on this one. Wide receiver, 10. I'd be bullish about this. I would give it a 10. I'd be bullish about this group. It wouldn't be a 10 because I'd be concerned a little bit about inexperience. I'd be bullish about this group if it was Jeremiah Smith, true freshman, Carnell Tate, sophomore, Brandon Ennis, sophomore, Bryson Rogers, redshirt freshman, Mylan Graham, true freshman. But I'd be concerned, talent, just dripping with talent. I'd be concerned about experience. Then you throw in Emeka Egbuka, who I almost can't believe is still here, who is as much of a leader as you can get. Look what he did as a sophomore. Now, and it's not like he was the number one receiver. He was the number two receiver with Marvin there. And look what he did in 2022. He was just hurt last year. You throw Emeka in there, to me, it's a resounding 10 with the wide receivers. You seem to be surprised by that.
I am. I gave it an 8, Dave, because you got Emeka back. He has a legitimate shot to be the all-time to get the all-time record for receiving yards for Ohio State wide receivers. Now you're talking about, okay, we feeling good about Carnell Tate. I do. I feel good about Carnell. You got Jeremiah Smith there. The biggest thing for me, Dave, is because of the length of the season, we need Brian Hartline to rotate. You can't play 3 wide receivers 500 snaps each. I just think that you're going to have to be able to get those guys rotated. And then after that, the depth starts to get questionable because you don't know what you're going to get. Everybody's still waiting on Jalen Ballard. We're still waiting for him to do something. Bryson Rogers, outstanding spring. I thought he exceeded expectations as far as, what we were projecting him to be at. I think he's going to be a player here. The talent is absolutely there. I question how much they're going to be able to rotate guys. Will Brian Hartline rotate guys? Because history says no. If we look at the last couple of years, situations may change now because everybody's blatantly aware you're probably on a 16-game schedule to get to the national championship. So I'm at an 8 right now. They definitely have the possibility to climb higher if Jeremiah Smith is up there, but you also got to tie in that the wide receiver play is going to be contingent on the quarterback play. So if I'm at a 6 with the quarterbacks right now, thinking that, hey, these quarterbacks, they have the opportunity to really show it. If they can't show it, that's going to greatly hinder what we see out of the wide receivers. I mean, you almost look at, the JT Barrett effect, Dave, his senior year. I mean, you remember as much of a war daddy that JT Barrett was, and everybody loves him, loves his leadership, but he couldn't throw the ball that senior year. You think about the Clemson game there. There were guys wide open in those wide receivers, and you had Terry McLaurin, those type of veteran guys that you're looking at. It was like, should they be better, or is it a situation where the quarterback is struggling to get them the football, so the wide receiver production wasn't as high as it should have been? So that's why I kind of look at it as with Will Howard. Are we going to get a JT Barrett situation from him at the quarterback position? If so, that's going to hamper what we see from the wide receivers in their production.
All right, tight end. What do you think? You can take a drink. Sorry.
4.
4? Okay.
4?
I interrupted your drink of coffee.
No, take a drink of that.
So
we got to see it, Dave. Unproven coach. G. Scott is, he's great in NCAA 25. He's a beast on there.
That's good.
Yeah. Can we see it from him actually on the field? You got the Will Kazmarek that transferred over from the Bobcats. Will he be able to make an impact? There's been smoke out there. I think with our guy Chris Drew, Denzel Burke was on one of his live streams, said that Jelani Thurman's probably not ready. Why? Why is Jelani Thurman not ready? Like, that right there goes on Coach Key. You talk about a freak athlete, someone that, you're talking about a Ricky Dudley type of athlete at the tight end position, and he's not ready to go. That right there is a major red flag to me. As far as coaching, you're talking about a young coach. He should have Jelani Thurman ready to play, because that right there is a matchup nightmare. With him not ready to go, if we're going to take Denzel Burke's word for it, I'm at a 4. I need to see it from these tight ends before I feel confident. I need to see it from Coach Key, and I need to see it from that entire group. Because here's the one thing, Dave, their blocking was atrocious on the perimeter last year. How many times did Stover get blown up trying to block those swing passes. And a lot of times they were a missed block away from breaking one and the tight ends weren't there. That has to get better before I feel confident about that group.
Yeah, that's not good to hear that from Denzel Burke about Jelani Thurman. Yeah, I'll give it a 5. So again, you and I are pretty close. I'll give it a 5. One slot above you, but yeah, I mean, you make a great argument there. No arguments for me about your argument. All right, I'll let you guys know really quick about Babbel. If you want to learn a new language, this is the perfect way to do it. You guys saw Bax on Wednesday's show. He's now fluent in French thanks to Babbel, which is amazing. 1 in 5 Americans have learned a new language on their bucket list. If that's you, make 2024 the year you finally check it off the list with Babbel. Fast forward to the end of 24. Think of your goals. What can you do right now to give yourself the best chance of succeeding? If you want to learn a new language, you should absolutely get Babbel. Don't pay hundreds of dollars for private tutors or waste hours on apps that don't really help you speak the language. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons. That's really in my wheelhouse right there. I see 10-minute lessons. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons are handcrafted by over 200 language experts to help you start speaking a new language in as little as 3 weeks. Maybe I can learn English here with Babbel. Studies from Yale University and others continue to prove that Babbel is better. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester at college. Here's a special limited time deal for our listeners. Right now, get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/bucknuts. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/bucknuts. That's spelled Babbel, and then .com/bucknuts. Rules and regulations apply. 60% off. Learn a new language, my friends. All right, let's get on with it. Defensive line. I guess I'm up, right?
Yeah.
I'm going 9. I'm tempted to go 10. I'll go 9. I just need to see more. I need to see the production from JT Tuimoloau consistently. He doesn't need to be fourth quarter of the Penn State game in 2002, like every game, although that'd be awesome. But he needs to be more consistent. Jack Sawyer, if he can play the way he did at the end of last season. I like the depth there at D end with Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson, Mitchell Melton. You look at D tackle. I love these D tackles. I love the starters with Tyleik Williams, especially Tyleik. I like Ty Hamilton. He's underrated. He's solid. He's now a 5th-year senior. Tyleik's a senior, 4th-year senior. I like the depth there. I know you do as well. Caden McDonald being that true 1-tech backup. Jason Moore being that 3-tech. Hero Canoe, a guy that can play both, entering his 3rd year. He's coming off a strong spring. Who knows about Tywone Malone? I think Will Smith Jr. is going to be in that mix this year as a redshirt freshman. I'm tempted to go maybe a little higher, but I'll go with a 9 just because I need to see the production from a guy like JT Tuimoloau, for example.
I'm with you. I'm at a 9. I can easily be persuaded to go to a 10, Dave. But the one thing that sticks out for me is not being able to get off the field in critical situations. When you're up there in Ann Arbor, how long did it take for them to get a stop to get off the field in the 4th quarter? Now, the Missouri game, I thought they played outstanding, but they couldn't get a stop in a critical moment. And to be fair to them, in that Missouri game, the offense was so bad that they were on the field for so long. It was just a matter of time for that pipe to bust. But I just think that the production as far as the sacks, it hasn't been there from JT. Jack Sawyer started to come on strong there. You will want to see a little bit more disruption of the quarterback position. So if you can get to the quarterback, create some havoc in the backfield as far as some sacks and really getting after the quarterback, it's going to be probably arguably the best defensive line in college football. I love the depth there. I think they have a lot of young guys that are talented. We need Larry Johnson to definitely rotate, Dave. That's the biggest thing. But let's be fair here. We need him to rotate smart. That's the biggest gripe, is make sure that you're rotating guys at the most opportune time. When it's 4th and 1 and you're in a critical game, please get your starters on the field. If you're down there on the goal line, get your starters on the field. It's probably not wise to rotate some of your backup in there. But I do think that this group, if they can get after the quarterback, Dave, they have the potential to be a 10.
No doubt about it. Well said. All right. I'm very curious about this one. This is, it's clearly the question mark of the defense. The defense is loaded when this is the question mark. But linebacker, where are you at on linebacker 1 through 10?
I'm actually about an 8, Dave, with the linebackers. I think James is going to have those guys playing at a high clip. It's been a major upgrade at the linebacker position as far as athleticism that these guys have had for a long time. I think the 5 guys that they have, they're going to be, guys that really perform at a high clip. You have your veteran there in Cody Simon. He's going to be able to make sure that those guys are lined up correctly. And then, you start talking about Gabe Powers and Arvell Reese. I'm extremely bullish on those two. I think those guys, are going to play. I'm pegging those guys, especially with the length of the season. They're going to probably get about 100 snaps each this season to make sure that the guys are healthy. I just think that the size of them, the length of them, no Diddy, I think those guys are going to be, 6'4", linebackers there. You haven't with, long rangy athleticism. I just think that those guys are going to be able to get sideline to sidelines. And then you can also have packages to where you can go ahead and make sure that those guys are getting after the quarterback. That's if you want to. So I'm bullish on them. I think they're at an 8.
I'm almost there. I was debating 7 or 8. I'm going to go 7.5. I'm going to split the middle because I just need they got like 9 potential. They got 9.5 potential because, if it comes together, maybe 10 potential. If it comes together for Sonny and CJ, if it just comes together for one of those guys, that's going to be huge because Cody's going to be Simon. Cody's going to be solid. I don't think there's any chance Cody's going to be a superstar, but he's going to be solid. Hopefully he's even better than solid. If one of those guys next to him can be a superstar, look out. But I need to see it first. But I'm somewhat bullish on them. I'll give it a 7.5. All right. DB, I'm going first on this. I'll just combine corners and safeties. It's a 10. It's a 10. I've been saying this is the best, and this is a bold statement when you consider some of the some of the secondaries we've seen, like 1996 with Sean Springs and Antoine Winfield coming off the bench because they're so good as a sophomore. Obviously 2016, with Malik Hooker and Garyon Conley and Marshawn Lattimore and those guys. 2019 was a hell of a secondary. This might be the best one. So I'm going to give it a 10. I love everything about it. I love the depth. Jermaine Matthews is your number 4 corner. Business is good. I'm going 10, my friend.
Easy. That's the easiest one, Dave. 10, hands down. I mean, they're absolutely loaded. You're talking about, Iggy has an opportunity to play himself into the first round. I think Denzel Burke is a first-round corner. Caleb Downs is obviously going to be a first-round pick once he declares, after next year. Lathan Ransom has an opportunity to really play himself. And I thought Lathan Ransom was playing outstanding football until he got hurt last year. Then you start Jordan Hancock. To me, Dave, he's the ace of spade that can cut anything in this defense because he's so versatile. You can play Jordan Hancock on the inside. You can play him on the outside. If you need to bring him to the back end, you can. He's that wild card, kind of like Sean Wade in that 2019 defense, where Sean Wade was so critical to their success because he was so good covering in the slot when you had Arnett and Okudah out there. And then, as you mentioned, Jermaine Matthews, you still got Calvin Simpson-Hunt, who is a guy that they really like, that they think it has a bright future as well. And then on the back end there, you got the transfer that came over from South Carolina. So the whole secondary right now, absolutely studs. Nothing to really critique, complain about those guys. They're just going to set the tone for this defense. And the one thing that I love about them is 2 things. One, they're always trying to get hands on the football. I love that about defensive backs. Hey, go make a play, man. Like, just because you're guarding somebody doesn't mean that you can't get your head around and go make a play on the ball and make it happen. And 2, those dudes, they play with a swag. They play with an attitude, a fire, and a passion out there. I think, Davison Igbinosun coming up from Ole Miss, Lathan Ransom said he was the kind of the linchpin to really brought that fire back to the DB room. So, led by him as far as the emotions out there, I love the way that these guys play. And here's another thing, Dave. Those corners aren't afraid to hit. They'll come up and lay the lumber on somebody's butt. And you've seen it numerous times. Oftentimes you see corners they view themselves as cover guys. I'm not going to tackle. It's a business decision. Not here. They'll come up and bring the wood. And I love that about those defensive backs.
That's why Antoine Winfield is one of my favorite players in Ohio State history. I wouldn't say he's my favorite. He's like I'm talking like top 5. He's like, it was a smallish corner who would just fly in and just drill people and was good in coverage, was actually very underrated in coverage, as he proved in the NFL. He was kind of small as far as his height. He was jacked. I remember saying, like, because that's when I was just a fan. Like when I was in college, that's when Antoine was in college. I remember saying, if you're watching a game on TV, an Ohio State game on TV during that era, somebody flies in from outside the TV screen and just makes a play, like, what the hell just happened there? Who was that? Definitely was Antoine Winfield. It was definitely Antoine Winfield. So you're right. These corners, they can hit. It reminds me a lot of those 1996 guys with Springs and Ty Howard and Antoine Winfield. Again, high praise, but I'm with you, man. I'm with you. I can't. Oh, man, it's going to be here before we know it. I'm going to be in Indy for Big Ten Media Days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Cannot wait.
Going over to St. Elmo's?
Definitely. We got reservations Monday night. Yeah.
There you go. Get you some of that shrimp cocktail, man. Clear out all your sinuses.
There's no doubt about it. I usually don't like stuff that spicy, but hey, when in Rome, and then a nice ribeye steak.
Yeah. I was over there last month. I went up there to Indy for the Olympic trials for swimming. Stopped over at St. Elmo's, man. It's so good. It's
so cool just being in there, just like the history. Yeah. But the best thing is the food for sure. Great stuff, man. You always come strong. Really appreciate it. He is Jonah Booker. Thank you to JBook. Thanks to all of you. Really appreciate you guys. Hope everyone has a great rest of your day and a great weekend.